It's really the first time that the borders have been shut to our own citizens. And I think you only need to look at the Queensland, WA and Tasmania election results to see what people think of this. Sure. They agree with Scott Morrison on this.
And he's shifted because of that, right? He knows what's going on.
Yeah, but I mean, the real key for him is May 15. What's he going to do then?
Yeah.
Is he going to keep the ban in place? It's obviously been very controversial, and yet the majority of the public are supportive of it. It's real hard on border stuff like they used to deal with asylum seekers, but it's on Australian citizens. And so I think it's kind of a worrying time in that sense. There's no doubt the biggest issue for Australians as we go into the next federal election is they do not want COVID. They do not want any more COVID cases.
Yeah.
When the Liberal Party polled it the start of last year, because they wanted to see how much was about preserving jobs and the economy and how much was about health, one minister told me they found 80% of people cared most about the health, about the COVID. And it's not just the fact that 1 in 100 die and they're usually old and they're usually vulnerable. It's that long COVID thing you can get where you just don't have taste or smell for ages. And we know, of course, for the majority of people, it's a mild disease. It's just a cold, but it's real luck of the draw stuff. So any hard border measures will be supported. But the difficulty for me is I just start thinking, well, this could be any of us. This could be any of us trapped overseas.
Yeah.
And I think it's a major concern. I think it's important we in the media really kind of keep the pressure on government to explain every single element of their decision in relation to this, and don't just buy that. You know, I'm sure, for example, a lot of our viewers here are saying we totally support Morrison on this.
No, not just our viewers, but I actually think that is a common theme out there. Out in the public is that they don't want people coming back, especially. I know it's awful to say, but they don't want people coming back from India.
Well, yeah, maybe they don't want people coming back at all in case we get COVID.
That's right.
But I mean, so you were in the US covering the election.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were trapped there. Maybe you'd be okay with it for a few weeks. But
well, a good point. I mean, I went there knowing that there was a chance that you might not come back when you wanted to.
And you got, young babies. You got a young family.
Yeah. And
so were you concerned about that?
It crossed my mind briefly, but I'm young and healthy enough. I would have thought if I got it, I would be able to deal with it. That was the risk I took.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is, people tell me 14-day quarantine's really hard, particularly the second week. How did you find it?
Yes, it does wear you down a little, but you just deal with it. You can mentally prepare for it because you know it's coming. First week's a novelty, second week wears on a little bit, but that's just how it is. And you know what, on the cricketers, Michael Slater, right, he had that tweet the other day and he's had a real crack at the Prime Minister. Yeah. And I'm not seeing much else come from the cricketers. I think that they're, for the most part, just dealing with it and riding it out in India. Well, do you?
Yeah, but that's on the assumption they eventually get let back. And if COVID continues to spread in India, the pressure will be on Morrison to keep the ban going. So I think where you end up is a continuing ban, but repatriation flights. And some sort of place like Christmas Island used like it was with Wuhan.
Do you think that's a play again?
Well, I just see... Look, I don't have any information to this extent, but I think about how it logically plays out, and that's the way it plays out to me, because there'll be pressure on Morrison to keep the borders shut, but there'll be pressure on him to bring these people, Australians, home, and that's a way you can address both concerns.
Hasn't Gunner already said that he can't take any more at Howard Springs?
Well, I think that was a big impetus. I mean, this is the thing with the states and territories running the quarantine, and the feds kind of in charge of the borders. You've got this push and pull, and the pull certainly on Morrison from Mark McGowan and the like was you've got to shut the border to India.
Yeah. But how do you? And look, you just heard the latest stat there: 357,000. That's day 13 above 200,000 or 300,000. So there's some 20 million cases out of India now. It's only 10 days away that the repatriation flights are set to resume. Or the flights are set to resume. I'm just not sure that happens, or if it does, how that happens, like you were just saying.
Well, it's funny, we've got a federal budget next week, but this is kind of more interesting, isn't it? Because it's a really key moment, I think, for the... And does this become the norm? Once people are vaccinated and international borders are open, are we shutting the door to certain countries and threatening jail all the way through, depending on where the outbreaks are?
Do you think there's sympathy for cricketers at the moment?
No. I don't think there's sympathy for any Australians overseas, sadly. I mean, I personally feel some sympathy, but I'm talking about the real belief and desire of the Australian people to have elimination, to have no COVID cases. And that's entirely understandable, but it's a bit more complicated than that.